All right, thanks for joining us. And before we get started, want to remind you guys, click the like button, click the subscribe button, share with a friend. This is going to be an exciting video. You're going to want to share this. And join us on Patreon, because we've got a lot more depth on a lot of these topics. All right, let's get to it. It's a hot topic right now. There's so much information going on, so many rough things going on, so many potential problems.
Yeah,
right?
There's a lot.
So what we've got in this video, 6 things that you and I as preppers should be doing right now. And stay to the end, and we're going to have a special tip that's going to help you in your preparedness. All right, so we're talking about all the crises going on, right?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? I know we've got the inflation going out of control.
Yeah, inflation's looking pretty bad.
They say it might hit 10% or even higher.
Well, they say that.
In the U.S., some countries are higher than that.
Yeah, they say that, and yet the costs of commodities everywhere has gone up way more than 10%. So
gasoline, I was just reading this, gasoline in the last year and a half has doubled.
Oh, yeah.
Doubled. That's 100% inflation right there.
Yeah, well, and they're
talking
about food prices 30, 40, 50%, maybe 100% in the extreme end of it. But yeah, with inflation, we're getting more and more mainstream financial experts that are talking about recessions and hard recessions and whatnot. So that's a big one. Yeah. So talking about recessions, we got a video at the end talking about the financial collapse, how the financial collapse has already started. First domino has fallen, and we get into depth on that. So we got a link to that video. That's very interesting. You're going to want to see that. All right. So inflation, recession, food shortages. Yep.
This was an issue before the war in Ukraine, right? But that has just made everything worse.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this a number of times. A lot of people are talking about this, but that's another issue. Ukraine, the expansion of the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, there's a lot of saber rattling, and it's got a potential to get worse.
It's got a potential to get worse and to involve us more directly. And then gun control. We talk about the ability to protect ourselves as preppers. Gun control seems to be moving forward on some levels. More gun control at the state. Delaware just outlawed certain firearms. And obviously we're talking the U.S. here, right? For all these, because that's our perspective. But things like inflation is higher in other countries.
Yeah, the inflation, that's going to affect everybody. And food shortages.
I was reading UK's already at 11%.
Yeah.
Civil unrest. My gosh, you got the Supreme Court coming down with decisions, and you've got these groups who are just perpetrating violence, civil violence, and the federal government's doing nothing. Just like a couple years ago, because these elites, this has happened throughout all history. We've talked about this, where they use violence. They kind of give a wink and a nod, And
well, in 2020, the federal government openly endorsed riots, and I say federal government. They were elected officials, so I say federal government.
Yeah. State, local as well. Yeah.
And that's been pretty normal.
So we're going to see more on the civil rights, especially as the inflation hits and people start struggling more.
Yeah.
And so that's just a picture. That's just a snapshot of some of these current events. And you got all these things happening at once, and my gosh, what a time we're in, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. So we've got 6 things that you and I should be doing that will help us to navigate through these coming rough times. Yeah. All right. So first one. You want to go with the first one?
Yeah, build short-term food storages. We talk about food shortages, but right now, you've been seeing we are working pretty hard on building our ability to be self-sufficient and grow on food. Reality is it's going to take at least another year, probably a couple more years, and that self-sufficiency 2 years from now does not help feed my family tomorrow. If there's food shortages. So
as much as possible, you want to keep building that system, but the focus, the energy needs to be more in that short term.
Yeah, and you guys even saw I had posted on the channel a picture, right? I went out and bought 250 pounds of rice. And so we talk about that balanced approach. I'm still continuing to build the homestead, but then I'm going out and I'm buying food, and I'll do that on a monthly basis. For me, I'm going to do that on a monthly basis, but you got to have short-term food.
Yeah, I've got 50, 60 asparagus plants in the ground. Well, guess what? I'm not going to be able to eat them this year. I'm not going to eat them next year. In 24, I can begin to harvest them.
Yeah.
Well, so we're talking shorter term between then and now. Next one, build your ammo stocks. You hear us always talking about skills and everything. This is a time that if you have a certain target that you want to achieve for your ammo supplies, and we're not going to tell you how much to go get, all right, because there's so many different numbers out there. And one thing we're not going to tell you, I've heard this, you should have 1,000 rounds for every firearm. Really? I'm going to have 1,000 rounds for my AR-15 and 1,000 rounds for my shotgun and 1,000 rounds for my single shot bolt action? It doesn't make any sense. Different weapons use use the ammo at different rates. So I have a lot more of the AR in comparison to the shotgun ammo, as an example.
Yeah, my long range precision rifle have a way fewer rounds stored up than AR. Yeah, for sure.
And so you should have a target, and I mean that's something that we can help you work through.
There's so many factors with that. We can't just make a blanket statement for everyone.
Right, but we do help people on our Patreon site to work through those numbers and come up with a good, logical, intelligent target for each firearm, the target. But you should build those stocks.
And you got to remember with the stocks, it doesn't matter as much if they pass. Because right now with the gun control stuff, there's a lot of Republican support, but it almost doesn't matter if that passes. As soon as people start freaking out and thinking it's going to pass, if there's a panic, it could. We've seen in the past where it's a year or 2 years before ammo's available again. And so we don't know what things would look like 2 years from now.
Yeah. So build up your stocks.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3.
You're going to want some kind of backup power, right? So they're talking about rolling blackouts.
Didn't we just do a video on this?
We did. I did the video. Yeah.
Yes.
I filmed it.
Let's have a link at the back also for that.
And we'll put a link in the description for that too.
Right.
You're going to want some form of backup power, whether that's just summer blackouts or we're talking about all these other things affecting the power grid.
Right. So now the generator with gasoline is good for those summer blackouts.
Yep, short-term stuff.
But if it's going to be a longer-term blackout, which I think that we're going to see in some cases, I think we need to get off of the gasoline because gasoline's one of those things that there's shortages being created. So I like solar. I've got some solar. I'm going to expand my solar. I've got a wind system that I'm going to be installing. Just as a couple of examples, I would love to put in a wood burning turbine. That's my dream down the road. But I've been looking at that, be able to just throw wood and just make my own electricity. I've got my eye on a unit for that. But that's long term.
Yeah.
We're talking short term. Like I said, for me, I'm going to expand my solar, and I've got the wind equipment, so I'm going to go ahead and install that as well.
Yeah, and just real quick too, one of the first things you got to do is you have to. People try to build the system first, and then figure out what they can power. Figure out what you want to power first, and then build the system for that.
Otherwise you end up with a system that doesn't do what you want.
I see people all the time because I'll plug into some of these other groups, solar groups and all that, and you'll see if I bought this, what can I use it for? That's the wrong way to do it. If you're in the planning stage, figure out what's essential, what you want to power, figure out how to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
And we didn't even touch on this yet when we talked about the food, but water filtration. I mean, imagine you're still on city water. I'm still on city water. I don't have my well hooked up. But if something happens with the power, with the water situation, and you're on a boil order, and the water is no longer safe that comes through your pipes, you need to have some type of water filtration, water storage. You need to make sure that is in order for this short term. So that is definitely one of these short-term items that we need to get in order. So right now I've got a Berkey system, and that'll be fantastic for a lot.
And I've got a mix of storage, purification tablets, and the ability to
So definitely one of the items. That's number 4 of the things that we should be doing right now.
Yeah, and then number 5, having cash on hand So we talked with a lot of the stuff that we talked about. We read about the run on some of the regional banks in China was it last week or the week before, but with everything that we had talked about, some kind of either run on the banks, issue with the banks, inability to withdraw cash, are all fairly plausible. They've happened before.
And some people have written that the collapse in China has already happened.
Yes, and that's the speculation. That's usually one of the big indicators that a major economic collapse is going to happen.
China's big on the financial system. If they collapse, it's a domino effect.
And this is one of those great things that you can do that has a big positive impact, high reward, low risk. So let's say let's just make up a number, $2,000 in the bank. Well, hey, you know what? Maybe I keep 1,000 in the bank, and then I take out 1,000 and I keep that cash on hand at the house.
Right, you need that cash at hand.
That way, if something happens, and regardless of the collapse, at least initially, more than likely, I believe people will still take cash before people figure out how bad this is. Yeah, you go out, you got, let's say, $1,000 in cash, fuel, water, whatever, versus if you're like everybody else, you try to leave work early, and then there's a line of
a line at the ATM, and the ATM runs out of machine. Yeah. The ATM runs out of money.
Or boom, bank shut down. We are not allowing access to any account holders. Debit cards don't work. None of that. Done.
Yeah. So cash on hand. That's number 5. Number 6. If you're a person who needs medication, stock up on those extra meds. Talk to your doctor. Yeah. See if you can get a 30-day supply. There are shortages, and I do believe they will hit the medical issues as well. The medicines.
Anything, any kind of medical device or prescription that you need. See if you can keep a longer or more, a larger amount, a longer time period, or whatever that is. Talk to your doctor if you need to. Rotate stuff through. But because if you rely, if you have, let's say, only a week's supply, and there's a ship stuck in port or shipment delay or whatever, could be pretty bad. Yeah.
So that's our 6 items. Build up your short-term food stores. Build up your ammo stocks. Have some form of backup power. Water filtration storage.
Mm-hmm.
Get some cash on hand out of the bank just in case the banks freeze up. And stock up on extra meds. Those 6 things we think that all of us as preppers ought to be working on short term. Right now.
Yep.
But whatever the long-term plan is, you may want to put those long-term plans on a temporary pause and take care of these 6 items, and you will be in a better position than your neighbors, than your family, and you'll be in a position to help other people as well. So take care of these things, and you'll be taking care of yourself. Now for that tip.
Bonus tip.
Yep. Yes. All right. So here's what we're going to ask you guys to do. This is your tip. Think about where you want to be with your preps in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We talk about planning. You should have a plan. You should have some ideas of where you want to be. Think about where you want to be in 2 years, and go and buy the materials that you can buy now, that you can afford to buy now. The work can be done later. Buy those materials now. This is your tip. Think long term and start getting the gear, the equipment that you need to for those preps. And you may find out that you're getting your goals met while others are not able to get the supplies because there's going to be some serious shortages. All right. Check out these videos. Check out this financial collapse video. Check out this blackout video. All right. See you guys later.
Stay safe. Stay prepared.